Hello boys and girls, welcome back to our Sunday online talks and welcome to Judgment Day. I'm just kidding, but I do have a really important test for you. I want to know how well you know me. You've seen me every week on your screen for quite a while now, a couple of weeks, but do you really know me? Well, here's a few questions for you. I want to see if you can answer these. What is my favorite color? What is my soccer team that I support? What is my favorite food? Now, you're probably thinking, Amy, how are we supposed to know that? Well, here's a clue. You've seen me. You can't see what I'm wearing today, but I am wearing a blue skirt. So you might think, she's wearing a blue skirt, so blue might be her favorite color. I've got pink nails, which I don't know if you can see either, but maybe my favorite color is pink because I've got pink nails. I've told you before in one of our previous videos that my favorite soccer team is Chelsea. You could even ask Daniel what my favorite food is. He knows me better than anyone. Our psalm for today is Psalm 19, and it says something similar to this about knowing God. God has shown us something about himself, just like you can see what color I'm wearing. God has shown us something about himself. He's told us about himself, just like I told you that my favorite team is Chelsea. And he sent someone else, someone he loves and who knows him better than anyone, to the world to tell us about him. Just like I said, you can go ask Daniel about me. He knows me better than anyone. Psalm 19 verse 1 starts with a bang and it lifts our eyes to the heavens. It says, the heavens tell about the glory of God. The skies show that his hands created them. The writer of the psalm here is talking about the universe, the sky, the heavens. It includes everything that's in the universe. So the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, they all point to there being a great creator. They are so beautiful and wonderful. You just have to look up to the stars, how stunning they are in the sky. Well, they also point to a God who's far more wonderful and powerful and glorious, the God who made them. It's like when you see a beautiful painting in a museum. Someone must have created it. It didn't just paint itself. It's not like the paint just fell onto the page and there was this beautiful painting. No, there's an artist behind the art. And they must be very talented if they are able to create this beautiful painting. So behind me, I have a famous painting. You might know it. And the artist is also very well known. He's a famous artist. Maybe your dad or mom or siblings even knew that. And just like we know that he's super talented because of this artwork, God is super powerful because his creation tells us. The heavens, the stars, the moon, and the sun are God's artwork. They tell us that there's a wonderful, powerful artist who made them. But the problem is the heavens, creation, can't tell us about what God is like or what he's done for us. They can only tell us that he is there and that he is wonderful and powerful. But they don't tell us about who he is or what he's like. Psalm 19 gives us the answer to this problem as well. We don't just have God's creation that points to God, we also have his words, the Bible. Psalm 19 uses 4 different words to speak about the Bible: God's teachings, God's rule, God's command, and God's judgments. It's not just any book, it's God's powerful word. God is speaking to us through the Bible. Reading the Bible is actually like sitting and listening to God speak to us and telling us about himself. So although there are 4 different words in the Psalms, they all point us to the same thing. The Bible is God's powerful words, words that we need to listen to. Psalm 19 tells us that there are 4 things that God's word has the power to do. Verse 7 says, the law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. So we see that God's word refreshes our souls. And how does it do this? Well, it does it by telling us the wonderful news about King Jesus. We can be forgiven and rescued from our sin because of King Jesus. That is what refreshes our souls. And how do we know this? Well, because the Bible tells us so. Number 2, we saw that God's word makes us wise by telling us how to live for King Jesus. Psalm 19 verse 8 says, "The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to our eyes." God's word gives our hearts joy and happiness, again, because it tells us about King Jesus. It tells us about how we get to be with God forever, how we can know Him perfectly. Number 4 tells us God's word gives light to our eyes. And how does it do this? Well, again, by telling us how to live God's ways, the way we were created to live, with King Jesus as our King. So, Psalm 19 has given us 2 ways that we can know God. We can know that there is a God because of the wonderful beauty around us, because of God's artwork that's on display. It tells us how wonderful, how powerful, and how glorious God is. And the second one, God has told us about Himself through the Bible. And we are all called to listen to those words, to God's words. But the most amazing way that we can know God is through His Son, King Jesus. King Jesus has come to show us and has shown us at the cross just how powerful and how wonderful God is. God's power was displayed, was shown at the cross when Jesus died for us. John 14 verse 6 and 7 tells us that Jesus answered, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know Him and you have seen Him." So Jesus says we can know God by knowing Him. If we really know Jesus and if we trust in Him, we can know God the Father. And we can know God now and for eternity, forever, by simply trusting in King Jesus. So Psalm 19 showed us that we can know God through His creation, through all that He made, and we can know God through His Word, where He's told us about Himself and about His Son. And lastly, we saw that we can know God fully through King Jesus. King Jesus has shown us God's love, God's grace, God's power, all through the cross. And we can know God through Jesus now and forever by trusting in King Jesus. How wonderful is that? So will you remember those 3 things? They're pretty simple: creation, the Bible, and King Jesus. That's how we can know God best.